To discuss, we're joined by legal analyst, Attorney Modidima Mannya. Thank you for being with us. As always, Mr. Mannya, we appreciate your comment. Let's start with Zandile Gumede. So a co-accused arrives without a lawyer, and there's a whole lot of talk about financial assets being frozen. So at least two of them are having difficulty paying their lawyers. How does it all work? How should it all work?
Look, and good evening to your viewers. Everybody has a right to legal representation. And in respect of those people who cannot afford, who are indigent, the state has a duty to provide legal representations through Legal Aid South Africa. But there's a criteria and there's a procedure to follow. Now, in this particular instance, these are people who do not necessarily qualify for legal aid, but who have become impecunious because their assets have been preserved. And I think it would require them to have access to be able to participate meaningfully by appointing lawyers. And until this matter is resolved, it will probably create a problem, because I don't think they are waiving their rights to legal representation, but lawyers would want to be paid.
So who sorts this out? So they're possibly rich people, but with no access to funds. So you're saying they actually deserve legal aid, but should the judge decide? How does it work now?
Well, look, their assets are not forfeited to the state. The assets still belong to them. They are preserved, and if they are found not guilty, they will be released from the preservation. And I think in the meantime, they ought to apply to court to have access to the resources that they need for the purposes of legal representation.
All right, so now this will start on the 1st of August, but 27th July there'll be pre-trial issues. What could those be?
Well, the pre-trial issues really, you may go to pre-trial to discuss the documents that are required. It's basically a readiness exercise to check whether we are ready, we have all the documents, the witnesses, there are no issues that may result. For instance, a matter like this has got the effect that we are not trial ready. I don't have a lawyer, so I'm not going to be able to participate. The next thing I will do is to ask for a postponement. So the pre-trial basically is to determine the readiness to go on trial.
All right, and we hope the trial will begin. Of course, a lot of interest because of Zandile Gumede herself, somebody who yields a lot of political power, a lot of debate around the step-aside rule, her position within the ANC. Do you agree this will be a very important corruption case as well, looking at one of the plagues in South Africa, even though, according to some, it may take more than a year, so it could be a long haul?
Yes, it could be a long trial, but I think let's correct something. I think whether Ms. Zandile Gumede is there or not there, and whether she's a political factor, I think the importance of a speedy trial for everyone is a fundamental tenet of justice. But I think it's also going to be precedent setting, because I think this would be probably one of the first cases where the state seriously enforces the Prevention and Combating of Corrupt Activities Act, which has not really been used that much.
And this could relate to a plethora of other municipalities in South Africa.
Yes, and some of the things that arose out of the state capture report will fall under this category of offenses. Remember, one of the offenses there is the conspiracy to commit the crime of corruption. So it's either you have committed the corruption or you are part of the conspiracy to commit the corruption, and there are fraud issues, but all of them relate to the management and governance of the affairs of an organized state. So it's going to be a very good precedent to look at where we're going forward.
All right, let's move to the fitness hearings around Busisiwe Mkhwebane, the suspended public protector. Bombshells. There was a lot of speculation around her recommendation that the Reserve Bank be nationalized. How's it looking for her?
Look, it's difficult to call at this point. The witness is still under cross-examination, but we haven't had a version, yet she hasn't taken the stand. But I think based on what, these charges or these allegations against the public protector border on one of three things. Either she was derelict in her duties, or she was negligent, or she was dishonest. Now, it may as well be that witnesses are taken through rigorous cross-examination, which may not take away the fact, for instance, that she has consulted with the state security agency. She might have to justify it. It may be that we have interpretations about what an economist is or what a lawyer is, but in the final analysis, it may be that she was derelict in identifying the people. But the witness that came forward today, obviously, remember, came under some sort of protest because he has got a case in the labor court and he didn't actually want to testify. And I think, and hence I'm saying it's too early to call. We'll see once the entire body of evidence has been heard. But let me also caution, remember there's division within the committee, and there are a number of political parties that believe in the first instance this should not happen. So this is not necessarily, may not necessarily be an issue of evidence, but also an issue of numbers.
All right, well, we've chatted to you about this, and no doubt we will in future as we follow those proceedings. Thank you very much, Attorney Modidima Mannya, giving us some analysis on legal issues.